I love this jam. Welcome back, guys. So, joining me now for a little heart to heart, yes, is my sister from another RGR Gleaner Group radio station, Paula-Anne Porter Jones, to share on the note, she blogged to her teenage self at the start of the new year. Hi, Paula!
Hey, T, what's up?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Better, better, better. It's a crazy time,
Yes.
but we give thanks for life. We're good.
I'm so excited to be talking to you in this capacity because many persons probably wouldn't know that I got some form of first kind of formal training from you before I even entered media any at all. So I'm so honored to be talking to you this morning in this capacity, Paula.
It is my pleasure, sister.
So let us start with the note to your teenage self. Where did you start with that note?
It's a blog. So there is a website that has issued what they call a challenge, a blog January challenge. And every day for the month of January, they give you a topic. And your challenge is to write about it. There are no rules as to what you can write, how you can write it, how long it needs to be.
Okay.
But they've issued that challenge. And I think that was the first of the blogs, the one for January 1. If you could give your teenage self some advice, what would that be? And so I wrote that short article, and that's where that whole thing came about.
In terms of the article in and of itself, looking at your growth and experience and just who you've become over the years, where did you start and what came into your mind when you actually sat down and said, I'm going to actually start writing this article now, starting this letter and this note right now? What did you reflect on?
It wasn't an easy thing to figure out what I would say to myself. I started thinking about what were the things I liked about being a teenager that I can remember because I have a terrible memory. And what are the things I remembered enjoying about my teenage experience? And then what were the things that weren't so great? And how would what is there that had I known it at that time would have helped to improve those parts of the teenage experience that weren't so great? And thinking back to my personality then, which is similar to my personality now, I was what you call nuff. So always volunteering in class. When the teacher asks a question and one of the first hands that goes up, yes, that was mine. If they need somebody to do something, to volunteer somewhere, I was always offering myself to speak, to go somewhere, do things. So the Jamaican word enough was what was used then. And when I reflect on my journey coming from teenager life through to adulthood, I remember that was not something that was praised necessarily by my fellow classmates because nuff is a negative term for
nuff
many
and too
Jamaicans.
outspoken. You're a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now as a coach, as a communication teacher, I find that my major the most common problem I encounter is people who are afraid to allow their energy to come out. So they lack confidence. And I look back at when I was young and those things that I would just do instantly. And those of us that didn't mind speaking up and out are finding it easier to communicate in public spaces because we are not afraid of showing our energy and sharing that energy with the world. So I'm now trying to get people to be a little more enough.
Right. and knowing that it's okay, but still listening to that inner voice, that true you, and acknowledging it and showcasing that side of you to the world. How important is it for you to acknowledge and listen to that little inner voice and to just be you, let your energy shine and share that with people?
So you've asked the question specifically, how important is it to be you? And that's an excellent question because it forms the basis of the advice I would give to my teenage self. As a teenager, oftentimes we don't think twice about what we say and how it can impact in the space that we are. We are busy being us. Well, those of us that were enough at any rate, a thought would come to mind quickly and we'd speak it into being out loud. if we want something, we would say it. If we have an opinion on something, we would express it. And sometimes the thought came, or rather the speech, the words came before the thought. And as an adult, as I now look at how people are trying to get their teenagers to speak up, and I think that that is good. But I think if there was that one thing I would change as a teenager, it would be to listen more.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, to listen to myself, to be true to who I was. But I don't think I had a challenge with that and saying what I liked or what I preferred or expressing myself. I think that listening advice would be to listen to others and listen to others, because oftentimes we don't have to say what we say,
Yeah.
or we need to be careful about how we say what we say, because what comes out of our mouths can impact somebody else's life or space or situation in a negative way. And being able to listen to what other people are saying, being able to be sensitive to the situation that we're in at the time and what's going on around us, will help us to make wiser choices
Okay.
about what we say and when we say it. So that advice about listening more is really about being in tune, yes, to self, but more so to the world around and to people around.
Okay.
If I say this, how does that make you feel? Or does that give you room to be confident to express what you are also thinking?
Okay.
And is that something that I that is important at this point in time?
I
So
I
it's
see
about allowing others to be themselves as
to
well.
be
Go ahead.
themselves, but still listening to what others have to say. And you touched on a few tips there, you know, that, well, I mean, just to remain calm and to actually listen. But how can these tips impact our everyday lives?
Well, big time. There are so many different kinds of personalities. And as a teacher, when I have students do personality tests, we have more introverts than we have extroverts always in the sessions. And with introverts, they don't speak up as often. They don't express themselves as easily or as quickly as others. And sometimes they need space and time to put their thoughts together, or just to build the confidence to say what they want to say. And if the rest of us aren't giving them the space by listening, then it makes it harder to get what they have to contribute as well. So to be better at listening, one of the things is to one, be attentive, but not look like you're putting them under pressure. So I'm not staring you down, but at the same time, I'm showing you with my body that I'm listening to you. I'm not doing something else. It's like as an adult, you're talking to students and you want to say, hello, listen to me,
Yeah.
because they're not showing that they're listening. So that's a part of it, to be attentive, but be
Okay.
relaxed. And then oftentimes we are listening, we're hearing you and responding in our minds and making assumptions about why you say something or what you say, what that means. So we're busy processing and jumping to
Yeah.
conclusions. And that's not good for listening. You want to listen with an open mind, to really be, to try and understand the heart of the speaker. Why are they saying what they're saying? How do they feel about what they're saying? So listening with an open mind is
Yeah.
important. And then you want to not interrupt. So as you speak to me, Talia, thoughts come to mind,
Yeah.
connections. It reminds me of something. And my teenage self, and actually my adult self too, would want to jump in with, oh, this thing has occurred to me, or that reminds me of.
Yes.
But we want to not interrupt. And as a parent too, on the other side, I have to teach myself to listen to my adult children. Sometimes they just want to share or to speak out, but they don't want me to solve the problem.
Right.
So my wanting to say, well, here's how you can fix that, or here's a suggestion, it's not necessarily a good thing. So I have had to learn to listen and not offer solutions unless I'm invited, or,
Well,
you know.
Paula, lots of tips there you've shared this morning with us. Thank you so very much. For sharing with us, a little heart to heart, of course, a little about the letter to your teenage self and why and how, why it's so important to listen, to be attentive, to listen to others around us, and of course, to not jump to, your conclusions and your solutions before you actually process what the other person is saying. So thank you so much for joining us, Paula. Lots and lots of valuable information there. So thank you so much for being with us this morning. So guys,
My
guess what?
pleasure.
It's time for a break. We'll soon come back. Don't go anywhere.